Friday night, everybody. How we doing? We're back for another round tonight. 9 o'clock on Friday. We're almost to the holiday. Hope everybody gets an extended weekend. Linda Thompson's already in the house. Miss Linda, how we doing? Curtis is here. So we got people starting to line up. Weather's been nice, except for those in lower Michigan. Prayers to them. 180,000 people without power or internet or anything else. So I know some friends that won't be joining us, but we'll catch it on the replay. And all's going well. Everybody knows I've got the big Con tonight or next weekend, and got the real thing going. So it should turn out pretty good. Want to give a shout out for the t-shirt. Everybody check this out. Hasn't been seen in a while, but Cryptid Cowboy is still a very dear friend, and hopefully he's watching or hears about it, and everybody can go to his shop, Cryptid Cowboy, and check it out. Also, of course, check out Bigfoot Outlaw Shop. You can even get custom gear made there. And if you hear a little rumbling in the background, it sounds like we got a thunderstorm rolling in. So hopefully this goes off without a hitch tonight. Donna Sue, how you doing? So tonight I thought we would have a little fun. Last week we touched on how Bigfoot became kind of a social media star, from the fact that the petroglyphs go back 1,500 years or more. Haley Mayer, how we doing? Thanks for coming in. And then, how human fascination just kind of held on to Bigfoot. Whether it is just wanting something to be real, something that is still denied to the day, even though we've got, of course, all the evidence. We've got the footprints, we've got eyewitness accounts, we've got DNA, we've got hair, you name it, they've got it. And yet, so far, according to some people, we're still chasing imaginary monkeys, and King Kong is the realest thing we're ever going to get to it. But, the one thing I did miss last week, and I feel kind of bad about it, is the attention. And it makes you wonder, looking back now, with how we know people get bashed in social media, taking that into account, looking back at the 80s and 90s version of social media, which would be your National Enquirer, your Star, remember all the tabloids? All the Bigfoot accounts that were in there, the alien abductions, looking back, if you were in Australia, it was something to the fact of, the dingo ate my baby, and everybody freaked out. In big America, it was, Bigfoot helped me make my baby, and everybody freaked out. So, and of course, everybody laughed and joked and made fun of, but now it makes you wonder just how much in that Star and Enquirer actually transpired. So I'm going to play off that theme a little bit this week. Pull some pictures up, and I thought we'd have a little fun because Dogman isn't quite into the territory of Bigfoot yet, but more people are starting to talk about it. And actually, on a show on Midnight Lycanthropy, which you can check out on Lord Starfox channel, he and I were talking to a gal, and I can't remember who came up with this theory, but the fact that there's a lot of reports of Bigfoot and Dogman going head to head, whether it's territory or food, things like that. The werewolf lore comes mainly from Europe. And so it makes you wonder, because Bigfoot's all over the world, but here in North America, you had the, Native Americans who were passing down their stories. And in come the explorers, and so in a way you've got two clashes. You've got your explorers versus your Native Americans, and all of a sudden you've got Dogman versus Native American or Bigfoot. So it does make you wonder, did Dogman kind of migrate over with the explorers somehow? Stranger things have happened, that's for sure, in this world. But anyway, so I thought we'd pull up some pictures. A lot of these are screenshots. Pretty soon we'll be doing videos, probably in the next 2 weeks. I'll be able to share screen with videos. I got a different setup coming, and it should be here. I was hoping it would be here for this, but it's not. So I got screenshots of some things, and I just thought we'd have a little fun tonight. I don't know how long we'll go. We'll see how it plays out, but I know one thing for sure. If I'm sitting there going through YouTube and, looking for Bigfoot material, and unfortunately now it's a common thing, you always look at the title for it. And of course now it used to be called clickbait. Now, of course, it is clickbait in general because the algorithm of YouTube basically forces you to somehow come up with a catchy title that people are going to, watch and click on that, excuse me, so they can get their AdSense and whatnot. I call ad nonsense, but it is what it is. You got to deal with it unless you're willing to pay for the premium, which I am not. I'll click on the ad. Plus, if it weren't for AdSense, I wouldn't be here talking to you people. But what's really bad now is when you get something like this, and this just irritates the heck out of me. This is good old NVTV, and you got disturbing footage. Great pictures. Okay, great. I am going to watch this 30-minute video. And then what happens? You watch the whole video, and this freaking image never comes up once. Not once. Not even close. Half the time you're lucky if you even get a picture. It's more, story. So you're stuck just, what the heck? I've heard of clickbait, but this is just rude. You're hoping to see a good picture, and you get something like that instead. So it's kind of like the National Star. You got the picture of Bigfoot holding the lady. Here and now she's pregnant, and you don't even get a picture of the kid. The story's incomplete at that point. But there are, as you do, and NVTV and Realize TV, to me, are the modern National Enquirer and the Star. That is my opinion only. I guess we better throw this up just in case. Standing Stones is in the house. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Welcome aboard. Good night to come on for Bigfoot. Oops, almost said the wrong F word. Funnery. But because I'm going to be, I just voiced an opinion on NVTV and whatnot. Let's throw this up there because this is my opinion. This does not represent the brand. It is just my opinion, folks. So if you want to be mad, write me, not anybody else, including the audio listeners. Feel free to DM me. Once in a while, though, when you see this picture, there'll be 5 or 6 stories. And every once in a while, you come across a gem. And this is open for discussion at this point. Of something like this, where they found an 8-inch track. And because I can't share the screen, the print on the right is supposed to be a Bigfoot print that they found. And they only found one print, of course. I know how that goes. And then they had a person with a 9-inch foot step in mud for a comparison photo. And you can see the foot structure is completely different. So as far as the toe shape goes, the splay, the ratio and across the pad underneath your toes to the heels completely off. So the fact that we do have some rumbling, sorry. The fact that it is so wide, has me think, and NVTV got it right this time. It's an actual print. And it looks fairly heavy, for only an 8-inch print. The toes look fairly long. Again, you got that big wide heel, and the hard ridge. And they actually show, if I could zoom in on it, it looks like, dermal ridges up on the toes as well, running lengthwise instead of in circles like ours do. So, once in a while you get a gem like that. So, and that's where they get you, because to go from this, waiting for this picture, to this, getting a good picture, and in the same breath, getting this. I said we would do Dogman. I'm not too much into the whole Dogman thing. I am getting better at it, but to me, this just looks totally hokey. A great facial costume. Hey, John. John says, howdy, y'all. God bless. Hey, Brian, can't stay early. Rise, watch tomorrow in the road. Be safe, John, in your travels. But this definitely does not look, I would use the word natural, but Ohio Bigfoot Researchers is here. Hello. We can start getting some input. Midwest Bigfoot Researchers. Randy, how we doing? Glad you got your internet. Now people are rolling in. Joey, how are ya? Hey, everybody, I'm back. Welcome back. So, yeah, this just doesn't even look, to me, believable. It would be one of those jump scares, and that would be about it. The legs look wrong as far as, I wish I could share my mouse, but the musculature's wrong. It looks like it's got, the forearms are all goofy. It looks like he ran out of material for the costume. If you look at the musculature on the forearms, there's almost like a webbing on the left hand. So, well, how Bigfoot Research, that's not real CGI. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean with NBTV. It's such a crapshoot when you're watching it. You got to watch it for entertainment value, because they do every once in a while. They do get something comes along and it looks good. Meets the criteria, but then we turn around and get another picture. And this one made the rounds for quite a while. There was a big debate on this one. This was supposed to be in 1986. Grainy film. Oh, 1981, pardon me. You even got some shadows down here at the feet. Oops, using a mouse that you guys can't see. Shoulders and neck, so look okay. You don't really see any defined musculature, but then it does come out that, it is an AI. The arms are too short. For some reason, the AI can't seem to get that right, which is good for us trying to debunk these things. So, but this one did cause quite a stir. But it's one of those films that you turn around, and even if they do get proven hoax, people don't bother, changing their videos. The one person I'll give credit to for doing that, Thinker Thunker, does do that. He's gotten burned on a couple of ones that he took the same ground I did. So, and in fact, I got burned as well. That looked legit and then come out and were misidentified. I think I showed a picture of that last week, where the one looks like he's got his arm cocked back and sitting, and it winds up being one bear with his neck down and a baby bear in front of it. Gives the illusion of Bigfoot laying back, catching the sun with his left arm extended and a knee up. And now that technology is catching up to these pictures, a lot of these are just being debunked right off the bat. And it's good because, then we have the good evidence left standing, things like the Patterson-Gimlin film. But at the same time, people are definitely having to change their videos. So we've had a couple fake ones. To me, this one's a toss-up, and maybe everybody else, as far as I know, this one still is credited for being real. I don't think anybody's debunked it yet. But here's a still shot from the Hoffman video. They show this thing walking, and when this is in motion, you do see the musculature. You can see the delt, cap delt there. You can see where the tricep ties in on the back. You can see, look at the big traps that come up off the shoulders. To me, this one is the glistening hair. I think this is the real deal. As far as I know, this one's still, standing the test of time. When you can see it in motion, it's a lot better because you can actually see the back muscles work. And, I believe you can even see, the low back muscles come into play as the arm is swinging back. And how Bigfoot neck and shoulders are wrong. Bigfoot doesn't have much of a neck above the shoulders. Exactly. The head that basically just sits on the shoulders from everything I know. And in this Hoffman footage, which is here, that's what it looks like. The traps just go right up to the base of the head. Standing Stones, yes, that one. This is a good one. I hope this is another one that's up there with the Freeman footage. I hope some of these films start getting the attention and the love and the dedication that Patterson-Gimlin got. That film has gotten, again, I'm rehashing this, but the fact that the second most examined piece of film is the Patterson-Gimlin film, only second to the Zapruder film for JFK, is pretty amazing at how many eyes have come onto that. So, well, how big for that memorial? Yeah, that's what I think too. And the way the light plays on the hair and it glistens, I mean, when it moves, that moves too. So it's not just like a dye that's hiding with shadows. I don't really see, you can see what looks like a spine and the back muscles elevate from that spine. The head is almost, I think, basically turned as far as it can because of the fact it doesn't have much of a neck. And if you look to the front of the shoulder, you see that comes down the front of the face. Or I'm using a mouse, you can't see, but it actually looks like a little beard coming off it. So it's, what looks like the face, the cranial ridge. You got the chrome dome, the sagittal crest, not a chrome dome. To me, this, especially when you see it in motion, if you get a chance, look up the Hoffman footage and check that one out. Standing Stone says huge shoulders. Absolutely. This was supposed to be about 8 to 10 feet tall. So with the amount of muscle that thing's carrying, I wouldn't even want to guess at the power that has in it. So while you're watching, when you get, again, this thumbnail, most of these are from this video. So, it shows you they have such a mix in there. To this, at about the 15-minute mark, at least it makes it worth watching, to at least give them a thumbs up. Uh-oh. Midwest Bigfoot researchers, no idea why I can't see any others in chat. I'm not sure on that one either. Maybe try logging out and logging back in, see if it connects to the chat. But see, here was one that made standing zones as the honest sell. Not assuming either, just myself. Standing Stone seems to think that maybe it's because of the Android YouTube app. Oh, well, I'll just watch this last week too. I tried to put up all the comments, so hopefully you'll be able to see them. At least know what people are saying. So this one made the rounds. Well, they have more muscles than most bodybuilders will ever have, the ones I've seen. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your average bodybuilder's somewhere between, if they're, 5'8" to 6 foot for a very tall one. Excuse me, and you're talking, a big bodybuilder at 6 foot and 300 pounds. Now you're talking something, that somewhere between, what is it, 7 and 14 feet. Even a 7-footer that goes 600 pounds is carrying twice the muscle. So, the ones I've seen, the arms were bigger than their legs by far. Midwest Bigfoot researchers is on the computer, so not sure why you wouldn't be able to see it. But in this picture, we got one, and this one's got a crazy history to it, that threw red flags from the beginning. Supposedly this guy had just a few second clip, and he lost the original video. The computer and the hard drive were caught in a house fire, so he lost it, and then somehow he mysteriously gained down into, there we go, I logged in from YouTube. But, he mysteriously somehow got the footage recovered from a burnt up hard drive, which in of itself would be a minor miracle. And when you watch it, it does look a little funky. If you pay close attention, the eye is messed up a little bit. And it took probably, I think this thing's been kicking around for a couple of years now, maybe 4. And it finally came out. The guy got under so much scrutiny for this film. Standing Tones, whose photo is this at the window? I can't remember the guy's name. Standing. NTV's got the whole thing. Go check out their clip on it. I give all the credit to them. I just happened to have one video. It was called Viral Now. And I took a bunch of these screenshots from it because it had everything from great stuff until some of the stuff we're coming up next, which blows my mind that they're even considering it to be real. I'm going to catch some heat for a couple of these because of my stance on it. That's okay. But, this one was considered legit for at least a few years. And now after so much intense scrutiny, which is what's going to happen when you put something like this out and you open your mouth, people are going to want to know why it came from and where it came from. Eyes are too big. Ohio Bigfoot researchers, eyes are too close. That's a human face. Bigfoot eyes are 8 inches apart on an average. And actually, Ohio, this wound up being a very early experiment with AI that the guy was doing. Actually, when he comes up toward the window, and the thing backs up. You got one eye blinking and the other eye staying open and flickering, and you can see like the inside of the something skull. You can totally see the AI break down. So this is another one that caught me, because at first I thought it was actually Midwest Bigfoot researchers clued me in. He says like, no, something's off with it. And this was before AI was a thing. And he's like, they faked it somehow. And sure enough, Midwest was right, and I was wrong on that one. Standing Stones, he had one at the porch railing, black leather face. Yeah, it was supposedly peeping in the windows while he was recording, and this thing was getting closer, and then didn't seem to mind to be recorded. And like I said, and then the whole backstory just kind of falls apart. Another one in the same video. For all you Red Circle fans, hey, we got one. I know everybody loves the Red Circles in here. And Henry BF are welcome. How we doing, Henry? So this one was about one that was supposedly trapped in a bear trap. And they were filming it while it was in the trap. They said it didn't seem to be bothered by the trap. It was actually just more to be analyzing. And as you watch the clip, Henry BFR, yeah, it's not so quiet here. It's getting a little rumbly outside. So we got another storm moving in. And last night, there was 3 tornadoes down in lower Michigan that really tore things up. Oh, you're saying all quiet there, Bigfoot wise. Gotcha. Sorry. Took me a minute to catch that, Henry. Anyway, so this guy is monkeying around, trying to get himself out of a trap, basically just pulls the trap apart and throws it. But again, when you watch it close, unless this thing is maybe 5 foot tall, the trap actually looks huge in its hands for being a bear trap. So, and I don't know when, this guy apparently has never heard of hymns for as far as getting hair back, because he's got a severe hairline issue, and I don't know when Bigfoot started getting hairline issues. Didn't since I have a radar app on my phone. Yeah, it's getting nasty. Donna Do ready for round 2 by Donna Super. Oh, Donna. Yes. Thank you for joining. Yes. Glad to see you made it. So now you know what I do when I was talking about YouTube. Anyway, so this guy basically just stands up, breaks the track. Holly's here now. Now we got people coming in. Hi, Holly. Good luck at your power meet, my powerlifting princess. Holly is going for a state record tomorrow in the deadlift, so everybody wish her well, please. And yeah, when he stands up and when you watch this in motion, it looks like a human face. It doesn't have the big distance like on Jiffy here between the nose and the mouth. I never thought I'd be using Jiffy as a demonstration, but hey, here we are. And like I said, he bald. So unless he just got mange on the top of his head, there's definitely something is fishy with this one. So another one, and this is the one I might catch a little heat for, because before I used to think he had some good stuff. I thought, and no matter what I say, this gentleman has brought light onto the Bigfoot community. So let's preface this with, he has brought a lot of attention to the Bigfoot community. Now, is it all good attention? Does it fall under that any press is good press? I don't think so. I think when you go out of your way to stretch the truth or fabricate a little bit. You put everything that you've ever done on the line and you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So with that being said, we've got, can't remember his name, but this picture pretty much took this gentleman out of, shall we say, good standing with the Bigfoot community. And Thinker Thunker does a very good. This one's still going around as real. I know it has its believers, and who am I to say they're wrong? That's not. I'm just saying I don't believe it. The ratio here to here is wrong as far as nose to mouth. Randy said it best. Odd Todd. Yep, the gentleman who was, I think he was filming Discovering Bigfoot and was being interviewed and got caught with a pair of gorilla gloves in his truck, was questioned about him, says, oh, his brother gave them to him as a gag. But then in the movie, those same gloves happened to be show up taking, I believe it was an apple off a tree on thermal vision or on night vision. So kind of a coincidence. Yes, wait, always tell the truth. Exactly, Ohio Bigfoot researchers. Because right here, I think this hit was seen in the car as well. I didn't know that. This one was much better, believe it or not, as far as realism, because they had eyes, they had the whole blinking thing. I know someone in his family is some sort of makeup artist, so that was where people are saying he got it. Who knows, but Thinker Thunker does the facial analysis and everything seems to line up with good old Mr. Standing. Standing Stones, I heard his relative worked in Hollywood. Yeah, there's one of them that's a makeup artist. So I can't remember if it was sister or sister-in-law. It was one of those. Yeah, I heard that too. And did a very good job, for if I were to see that in the woods walking, yeah, I'd be taking pictures. And then when I zoom and pull it up, it'd be all kinds of curse words. Why do all of them pull this? Like I said, Stanley, sometimes I think he wants people to believe him so much that he's willing, or to believe it, not necessarily him, to believe in Bigfoot so badly that he's willing to create evidence that just isn't made by the Bigfoot. Bigfoot has Bigfoot promise, but definitely not in the neighborhood of Bigfoot. And it's catching up with him. He's still doing his tours and everything, which is great. Les Stroud paired up with him. I know Jeff Meldrum and him had a falling out. I'm guessing, it had probably had something to do with some of these clips. Standing Stones, ever see the clip of the Bigfoot at like a power line trail and the police tape off and the guy taking video shows a huge tree being lifted and pulled up? Yeah, I do believe that was at an oil field, if I remember right. They had it taped off and it pulls the tree out by the roots and sidearms it. Like Thinker Thunker did a good breakdown on it. And it definitely wasn't one of those paper mache trees, because when the tree lands, dozens of feet away, it actually bounces. So if it were paper mache, it would just fall out. It would fall apart. And for someone to have the strength to pull a tree and throw it with one arm on you. So even if it was a 6-foot tree, a few inches around, you're still talking way more than I'd be able to pull one arm. So yeah, that was a good video. It's not, again, it's one of those that isn't clear, but hopefully that film gets some love too, because that's got to be legit the way it yanks it out of the tree. But here's one picture that took him out of good standing, and then this one, in my eyes, is the proverbial nail in the Bigfoot's foot. We got Blinky. Who can forget Blinky? My opinion, let me throw that back up here, because if anybody's going to catch hate, I want it directed at me, nobody else. This thing's a freaking joke. Give me a break. I mean, it looks like a 2x4 with carpet and a couple of black doll eyes painted on it. And then supposedly in the video, they call it Blinky because it blinks. Bull crap. Editing, this is just dumb. And for him to even think this would pass, his IQ can't be above room temperature on a cold day. Yeah, I'm getting a little mean on this one, but this is the stuff that throws Bigfooting into such a shadow of why nobody takes it seriously. To me, the face is too small for a male Bigfoot. Their head is way Bigfoot, unless it's a young kid. Yeah, going back to this one, this is Todd made up. I would bet, a lot of money on it. It's not a hill I'm willing to give my last breath for, but I would put good money on that's Todd made up by sister or sister-in-law. And Randy, you hit this one exactly on the head, because this thing's, it's not even a good Muppet. I mean, look, this is a good Muppet. What's better, this Muppet or this Muppet? I would believe this before I would believe the other one. I mean, at least you got the big feet, the mouth moves, the eyes blink. This is a 2x4 with carpet. You can't even say it's a good Muppet. So, and this is the crap that throws, even with the good work he's done, he's got, a lot of his footage is coming under fire, and it's because of stupid shit like that, stupid stuff like this. I was hoping people liked the Muppet comparison, because, like I said, it's not even a good Muppet. That's a good Muppet. Probably had a bigger budget, and that's why, but at least they didn't try to present him off as Bigfoot, and it's a lot closer looking than the other goof. So there are other pictures out there. Let's get rid of some of these so I can download some more. We'll leave this Muppet up there because it's the better looking of the two. And like I said, Todd Standing has brought more attention to Bigfoot than most people. Other than Paul Freeman, obviously Patterson Gimlin, Hoffman footage. Attention-wise, this guy and a gentleman who is admitting to hoaxing is Rick Dreyer. Again, I don't think all publicity is good publicity. This just makes it really easy to be made fun of. So it's hard to take being serious when you got people trying to claim crap like that. So, I mean, what do you do? Now, this guy is supposed to be a Yowie from Australia. The red circle, folks. I got you covered tonight. So this one's a Yowie, and when he gets up and they zoom in, this is without a doubt a guy with a half bald mask on, with the hair because he stands up and it just looks like an old burly dude in a suit. It doesn't even come close to passing the eye test. The fact that they even put a red circle around it is a disgrace to the red circle. Well, how Bigfoot Richards, I have a face picture of a female and baby, looks nothing like them there. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And yes, people can argue they're going to look different. They're going to look, every region's going to have their own, which is true. I'm not denying that. Every region's going to have one. Every individual might look a little different, but no individual is going to look like that. Not unless you got hit in the face with a bag of hammers. Back to the Yowie again. This guy looks like he needs to hear the Rogaine and the Hims Chews, get some of that hairline back, because otherwise he just got mange on his head. It's the only place he's got mange. Ohio Bigfoot, I know the picture we took up 100% the real deal. I totally believe you, Ohio Bigfoot, because I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt, because I've taken my share of blob squatch pictures. I've shared them on here. There's the one face in the tree that looks okay. It looks like a gorilla. But again, now you're taking me at my word that that's what I saw. And hopefully, I know a lot of people talk a lot of smack, and that's okay. When you go out in public and try to share some of these truths about what's going on with these beings, you're going to catch heat. Doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, look what Bob Gimel put up with for I think it was 35 years. And I can't remember we just did a special on her too. The lady interviewer who coaxed him out, and the only reason why he did an interview with her was because it was Wild Encounters. Oh, I can't think of her name. Anyway, he trusted her, so Bob Gimlin came out 35 years after the fact and told his story. So, and the fact that the Patterson Gimlin film is getting so much attention again, now with being able to create even more in-depth detailed images because of the fact of the film that it was shot on. I mean, to me, this is great. I mean, you can't, that's definitely no Muppet, and that's not that rat in a suit that tried to claim he was the fake Bigfoot in the 90s and then couldn't even turn around and recreate his suit. Well, how Bigfoot researchers, yes, some look different than other. They just, like us, not everyone looks the same. Exactly. They're all going to have their features. That's why, just like in the human world, you got some cute Bigfoot and you got some Bigfoot they want to keep under the bushes and never let see the light of day because they're not so good to look at. But just like humans and stepchildren. But with technology, look how far we've come with that film. And because of the detail that was in the film, because it didn't have processors and digital processors and things and AI trying to fill in the gaps and make sense of everything, we're able to have all the information. Here I am circling again. Sorry, folks. All the information on the left is there. It's just a matter of having the right equipment to clear the image up and to bring out the information that is there. You have to have the data there in order for the new tech to bring it out, unless you start using artist interpretation, which gets sketchy. But that was a big one. Thunder. So the fact that the Patterson Gimlin film just keeps giving more information. I think there's other films out there like that. I think that Freeman footage will do the same thing. So once somebody gives that some love, I think the Hoffman footage is obviously great. I mean, that's a pretty darn clear picture. If there was more of it to work with, that would be another one that's going to give some outstanding detail. The Provo Canyon with the Bigfoot side arming the rock. That's a good one that people will be able to, hopefully use. Hopefully the information's there. I think the older and Ohio Bigfoot Research and Midwest, please feel free to chime in on this. I think the older footage of stuff has a better chance of being able to be enhanced and detail brought out because of the fact that the cameras aren't trying to fill in the detail and make up stuff that isn't there. So we'll get more and more clarity instead of stuff like this. This isn't a very clear picture, but I'm sure once I say the Colorado train footage, everybody remember that one? Oh man, what a clown! What a couple clowns, that's for sure. I know the picture's kind of crappy here, but if you look in the center, you can see where the suit is so bad. I mean, it's really bad. And the fact that they've got one for an outdoor adventure, the exact same suit less than a mile from that train track. I mean, I think this one only got passed off as real, and I think everybody debunked it within like an hour. So the fact that that's how bad it is. But it was included in what's viral as far as legitimate Bigfoot sightings, and I've seen it on one's titled Horrific Bigfoot Sightings. So remember, all these came from this picture. Ooh, almost left the studio. That's not good. Viral Encounters was the name of some of these. So I guess they can kind of get away with it because that video did go viral. It didn't say it was a true viral encounter. It just said viral encounter. So maybe we'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But the rest of these came from disturbing footage. Ooh, it sounds good. Sounds spooky. We got a spooky Bigfoot on the front there. You don't see that picture in the video, which ticks me off, but like I said, clickbait. Everybody's got to get their views, and I get it. You got to feed your family. So if it means a little clickbait here and there to get your views, to get stuff, you get my attention, get a lot of people's attentions. It's okay. A little bit. This one's got me though. I am interested in the chats on this because this one I don't know what to think. We got a hobbit, according to what viral encounters came from. I'm looking at it thinking first thing came to mind was my BS detector went into the red, but if it's a suit, it's got to be homemade. I don't think you're going to find factory one. And look at the mitts on that thing. I mean, those are catcher's mitts at the end of that wrist. And maybe those are there's some big feet on there. So maybe those are like some Bigfoot slippers that are dyed to match the legs, because look at the size of the feet compared to the calves. It's like a football with a pencil on the end for the calf. But then at the same time, it's not so outrageously in proportion. Whatever it is, looks stocky. So Midwest Bigfoot was just fake, arms too short, neck too long, human. down to do this, give a location where they take these pictures. When you watch the video, it does. Most of them do anyway. But there's a lot of them that get confusing because, like I said, isn't that a weird one, Ohio Bigfoot? I mean, that's... Oh, Randy's got it. Midwest Bigfooters, Alice Cooper. There he is. Before he got off his DOC. Welcome to my nightmare. That's him. Mystery is solved. Lenny's watching. Lenny, how are you? But where was this one? This was in another country. And I'm trying to think where it was. Don, I do not have a link for that video. If you look up viral videos or viral encounters, Bigfoot, it'll probably pop up on YouTube. That was all I did. I was trying to find, and then just skipping through to try to find pictures, and viral encounters seem to have the most in there. But the fact that they had so many, some good ones, like I said, there are some really good evidence out there. It's just it gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, and it's sad because you get films floating around that have such good images. Whoops. Like this one. I mean, to me, that's one of the best images you're going to see. I mean, that's right up there with the still shots of Patty after the enhancement, in my opinion. So you get stuff like this that's in a video, and there are other videos about it, thankfully. Well, hell, Bigfoot research. My wife's seen a little people. Oh, I haven't seen one, and I don't know much about them. Once when we were out researching in our research area, it was about 28 inches tall. That would freak me out more than an 8-foot Bigfoot. I'm sorry. Some little, and it's weird I would say that because I love monkeys. When I went to Honduras and had the capuchins running up to me, I thought it was great. But here we are talking something about, maybe the same height. And I'm freaking out because at least I know the capuchin monkeys are fairly safe. Who knows with little people what they're going to do to you. Big ears. I don't think that's the ear on the back of the head. Maybe. There I am using my mouse again, sorry. But you get good pictures like this, and they get muddied. Because they get in with this. There's a big difference in quality and standard there. So when you include them in the same video saying that they're all authentic, Metro Quinville, stop by to say hello and ah-ooh. Well, ah-ooh, back to you. Thanks for stopping in. It whispered the court researcher, seen some small Sasquatch that small. Look like a Reese monkey. Folks, if you haven't checked out Midwest Bigfoot Researchers, check Randy's channel out. That channel will blow your mind. Really good evidence. And Randy will have to correct me. I don't know if it was him or Barb Shoop that came out with the cloaking first. But Randy's got some good video of cloaking. Go check his channel out. He also explains pretty well, about the way Bigfoot used infrasound. So if you get a chance, go check out Randy's channel. because due to the fact of Randy's experiences and stuff, his channel's been messed with a lot. It falls out of the algorithm mysteriously. It's crazy. And just go check it out. Well, how Bigfoot Richard, it was running through the tall grass and stopped, looks at her, and then started running, and then it was out of sight. Yeah, Randy, Midwest Bigfoot Church gave up doing videos, but the stuff he's still got up there, go check out. Uh, Randy and I are both having some health issues, so it's kind of keeping us both out of the woods, although Randy does have some stuff happening. I just dug all my stuff out for the summer, so hopefully we will be, if the squatches cooperate, we'll have some new pictures, as far as hopefully some tree structures, or get lucky and find some prints, or if you look up on the Bigfoot's Barbershop Facebook, I got some pictures where there's red circles. I'm sorry, but there's a couple pictures of two squatches, one standing, tree peeking, and then another one, when you zoom in, he's in a squatting position, like he's sitting on his heels, and you can see the arms wrapped around the tree, just got his head around it. So, you can go check those pictures out, but they're nothing worth as much as some of the stuff you find on YouTube. I say that, but then at the same time, you also find that on YouTube. So you got to take the good with the bad, use common sense, to sort things out. Randy, well, if you can show up here sometime, you can hopefully meet Eddie. Randy, that is my one goal this summer, is to make it down there. I'm really hoping in the next couple of weekends. I'm pulling 7 days this week at the gym, as you know, but we're hoping for next week. So everybody wish Randy well too. Like I said, he's dealing with some health stuff, and use your prayers. He's a good guy who's just a wealth of knowledge, and unfortunately, sometimes he doesn't get listened to as much as he should, or the powers that be, from elected beings, will tamper with things where they should just keep their hands off and let us have our free speech and things like that. Speaking of free speech, this is off the Bigfoot topic a little bit, but I found it rather interesting, being that it is happening in the UK and Australia, who are two of our biggest allies. Did you know, as of this moment, if you look on X, and I do believe Instagram, that the government of the UK has a warning on their page that if you post anything construed in their opinion, as hate speech, bullying, racism, or any other type of discrimination, you will be jailed. And it is up to those officials what that can mean. Just to give you an idea, where you heard that thunder, but just to give you an idea, Russia, of all places, arrested 47 people for posts on Facebook and for posts on Twitter, criticizing certain things that apparently they didn't agree with. So 47 people were, in my opinion, needlessly jailed. But in the UK alone, 3,400 people went to jail. Brian, I'm headed. Eyes are in one socket. I guess that means you're ready to go to sleep. I hope. That's not verbatim. But yeah, so let's keep our eyes and ears open, people. Enjoy the freedoms we have here, because those freedoms are slowly are not freedoms at this point, but they're trying to just make them privileges that can be taken away. You know, if they do it little by little, we don't notice. But when they do it all at one time, so that's how they are managing to get away with this. Thought police on steroids should shut up and start living and thinking. So yeah, well, I hope you enjoy. I hope you had a little fun tonight. Jim Davis just slowly then not agree. That's how they do it, little by little. You know, and we don't take too much of a notice to it. You know, stay at home for a couple hours, stay at home for, you know, a few extra hours. Okay, now don't come out between Australia was 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. during some of that, and it lasted 6 months. So they just slowly initiated it, and away it went. They slowly started pushing. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so I'm not going to say what the one video was, but it really was. It was just the truth. And, you know, the UK police showed up and took them away. But hopefully you had fun. And, you know, we'll end this on a high note. You know, we got the bad Muppet. Literally looks like I could make that for $3 with the 2x4 I got laying in the backyard and some tan carpet and a couple black marbles. So it took him out of good standing without saying his name. And then we got the more believable puppet. You know, who didn't love this guy when he was on the show? So at that point, you know, we're going to call it a night. Everybody have a great weekend. 350. Have a great weekend. And from coast to coast around the world, you know, love and peace to y'all. I very much appreciate the fact that you guys were here tonight. And hopefully we see you next week. So be kind and love one another.